Does this sound like you? You bought into that IPO they told you was a good investment, and now you're down 20, 30, maybe even 40%. You try to buy the stocks they talk about in groups or on social media.
You've even taken a chance on the ones your advisor sends you via email.
But after 2 years, that IPO, that stock is still down.
There's a clear difference between investing and making a good investment decision. So if you're stuck, what you need to do is learn how to invest the right way.
In our Learn Level 2 program, we teach you how to build a $1 million investment portfolio. To make money investing, you need to know which stocks are right for your investment strategy, know when is the right time to buy and sell, and know how to build the right portfolio for your investment style. This program will help you invest meaningfully while making money. When you sign up, you'll get monthly guidance on how to invest and make money while doing it. You'll have a community of investors on the same journey as you to support you, and you'll have resources to help you stay on track. Join our 2026 cohort so you can get back on track with your financial goals.
All right, hope everybody is doing well. Today I wanted to do a video about my personal dividend investing strategy. And I'm doing this in preparation for a dividend investment challenge that's coming up next week. It's next week, Tuesday to Thursday. And you can register for it within our community. So if you sign up for our community and you go straight to the events section, you'll see it. I'm actually going to share that right on my screen now so you can see that as well. So in our Level 1 community, we have our dividend investment challenge. It is scheduled for Tuesday, June 23rd at 7 p.m. So once you're in the community, I've placed this banner at the top. Just click on it, and then you can join us for the challenge. It's 3 days. We're going live for each day, and then we will just learn different aspects of dividend investing. This session is really for those who are looking to earn passive income through investing in stocks. It's for persons who are, for example, planning their pension income, for those who are starting investing and want like a quick win. It's for those who really don't understand stocks or how dividend investing works and just want a clear strategy coming out of it, right? So it's 3 days. We have a very concise agenda and how we're going to do it, because actually registrations have been going pretty well. So we may have to, I'm still trying to figure out how we're going to stream it, because right now our community is at 3,582 members, and a platform has a limit as to how many persons can be on the stream at the same time. So I'm still trying to work that out. We may have to do like a YouTube stream and then do a Q&A or something like that within the community. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards right now. So we may stream it on YouTube so everybody can see the challenge, and then we go over to the community for Q&A so persons can, come off mute. You can share your questions live and get answers from me directly that way. That's how I'm thinking about it now. But feel free to sign up. Sign up is free, and this is our challenge for the quarter. So I just wanted to get that out the way for now, right? Since that's what inspired this video. So I'm going to ask you a question before I start, and then I'll say where everybody is right now. So the question that I have for everybody in chat, for those who stayed up to see me go live, I appreciate you. Shells says 10 years later. I mean, listen, my son, for some reason, he did not want to go to bed tonight. I actually tried to put both my boys down early, and my 5-year-old went to bed like that. Once lights are off, he's sleeping. My 15-month-old, he was like, nope, not going to bed tonight. And so that took a minute. It took him almost 2.5 hours to fall asleep. So, I mean, That's why I had to move the stream. I was actually not waiting for Kalila to finish, even though I was watching that for a point, and then I stopped because I wanted to get all lights off and see if he would actually go to sleep. So for those who are here, let me know if you're a dividend investor. And when I ask this question, I'm asking you, do you invest primarily for dividends? I'm not saying it for those who, might take a dividend if it's available. I'm asking about those who primarily your investment strategy is dividend investing. So here's the thing, right? My primary investment strategy is that of dividend investing, right? I do take capital gains. I do understand how it works. I will take the occasional opportunity, but my primary goal for investing at this stage of my investment journey is to get dividend income, right? So I'm trying to build my portfolio such that when I get to retirement, which hopefully is in a few years, I'll be able to get at least my current salary in terms of income, whether from, of course, a portion maybe capital gains, and then majority of it should be dividend income, right? So that's kind of what I'm building my portfolio towards right now. I think it's done pretty well. I was trying to calculate how much I've received in dividends since I started investing till now, but I haven't been tracking it every single year. So it's kind of hard to get that number. My estimate is somewhere between maybe 3 to 5 million overall. I'm not sure. I'm going to try and verify that and maybe just do a breakdown of it throughout the years, because I've been investing for 10 years. And so I'm trying to do some rough math in my head, but different stocks, different seasons, different yields, that kind of thing. So I see a few persons here. Techie investor says, yes, I am. So what you're saying, Techie, is that you primarily invest for dividends as your primary focus, or are you saying you also take some dividends, right? Shell says no. But Shells, I'm not the one with too much money. You're the one who says that the US market's doing great for you. So you're the one that's making a lot of money, not me. All right. Roger says dividend. Don't know how that answers the question. And Ingrid says no, not yet. Well, Ingrid, I mean, we'll help you. We're gonna cover that in level 2 soon. Nice. Okay, cool. Techie investor. That's awesome. So I hope you've signed up for the dividend challenge because it will certainly help you. Garfield says yes. So for anybody else who joins and you see this, let me know in the comments. Are you a dividend investor? Is that your primary focus for investing? All right. So let me break down how things have gone for me. All right. So in terms of my overall dividend investment strategy, when I started learning how to invest a few years back, what I noticed is that it took me a while to figure out how to make money with stocks, right? And so I wasn't sure, what made stock prices go up, when to buy which stock, which one is the right one to buy for capital gains. It took me a while to figure that out. Of course, I know that now, and I mean that's part of what we teach in level 2. But back then, it started to become easier for me to shift my focus towards dividends, because I realized that I could find the dividend paying companies, and they're typically promoted, calculate a dividend yield, and then just purchase the number of shares that it would take for me to get the income that I'm looking for, right? So my very first goal was to get 100,000 per year in dividends. That goal was back from 2017, 2018. That was the goal. It took me maybe 2 years to get there, and I haven't turned back since, right? So once I understood how dividend investing work, and also I figured out how to use dividend stocks for capital gains as well. That's something I would have learned along the way, and so now I get the best of both. But my primary focus and strategy is centered around dividend investing. So the very first thing you want to start with is setting a dividend goal, right? Setting an income goal from your stocks. And in this case, I'm actually including things like maybe a preference share or maybe a bond. I mean, bonds pay interest, so it's technically not a dividend, but if you want to pretty much make an investment and get a consistent stream of income, I'm going to label that dividend for the purposes of this video. All right. And also I've been able to take my dividend investing strategy to other forms as well, not just through the JSC, right? I'll talk about that another time, right? Maybe that's something I'll save for one of our meetups or something. But there's a way that I've figured out how to earn passively, in that I own the investment and then it pays me, whether quarterly, every 6 months, or annually, right? So there are ways to work out how to get income from your investments, all right? Because if you think about it, when somebody buys an investment property, their goal is to purchase that property and have that property pay them income that is enough to cover their mortgage and then some, right? So it's almost like they want to be able to get cash flow each month or each quarter or whenever, all right? So dividend investing allows you to do that. So you want to set a goal. Now, the best way to set the goal at the start is to set something that is based on the amount of capital that you have. All right. So when you're setting your dividend investment goal, look at the capital that you have to invest or the portion that you want to allocate to dividends, and then look to see from that capital, what's the best projected yield that you can get from that capital, right? So for example, your options would be dividend stocks or, preference shares, and the preference shares usually have a set rate of return. So whether 8%, 7%, 10.5%. So, you have that to be able to calculate, and then you have bonds that may pay a certain percentage interest that you can kind of, again, treat as a dividend for the purposes of what we're talking about here. All right. So that's your first step. Set your dividend goal, look at the amount of capital that you have, and then you can calculate. I did that in a video a few weeks ago where I showed you how to calculate how much you'll need to spend to get to your target income. All right. So that's one of the first things that I do. And here are a few things that you may choose to use your dividends for. You can use it to supplement your primary income. So for example, when I work with clients and we're talking about their income needs, we may do a calculation based on their budget to say, well, this is a gap in terms of their finances, and this is the amount of income that we should target from dividends. We could also be planning for dividends in terms of retirement. So we can do a calculation as to say how much you'll need in terms of, having something projected for retirement. You can have a financial freedom goal. I work that out with clients as well. You may want to just use dividends in order to compound your investment. So you get the income, you reinvest it, and it's a way of adding capital that doesn't originate from your income, your salary. And then the final goal here, which is a goal that I'm working towards, is that you set a goal to be able to live off your dividends. Now, it means, again, you have to have a certain amount invested to be able to do that at a certain yield. And so it does take some time to build up to that point, but it is entirely possible, right? Based on where we have been in the last few years, I see where at least I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, where at some point we'll be able to have enough invested, get enough passive income to be able to live within that. And of course, by that time, we're targeting not, having a mortgage, not having a car loan, and just having dividend income, being able to just cover all the expenses that remain. Because if you pull out mortgage and car loan from our monthly expenses now, it's roughly about half. So our needs for cash would be cut by 50% if we took out that mortgage and car loan. All right. So we've been able to trim things down to a certain point. All right. So for example, you could say, well, my goal is 100,000 monthly income. Then your annual dividend requirement would be 1.2 million. So it's not that you may get your dividends monthly. It could be a quarterly payout. It could be a half a year payout, but it should be enough to cover your annual expenses, right? That's how you want to treat it. And then you can just reverse engineer that process. All right. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me see what you guys are saying. Our CEO and my wife is apologizing for making us start late. Guys, it's not really her fault, but that's what she says. I have 6 stocks for dividends and 3 for growth. Awesome, Roger. I started building my dividend portfolio. That's awesome. I want to switch JA Investor sold dividends for next year because cap gains is a joke on the JSE. So dividend from JSE and cap gains from North America and EU. Sounds like a solid plan. Is this $1 million per month? The zeros dazzling me. Okay, that's 100,000 per month. 100,000 per month is doable depending on how much you're starting with. What about PBS 10.5 preference share? I get 15,000 every 3 months and it's for 15 years. There's nothing wrong with it. So you can use, so remember, say you can use dividend stocks, preference shares, or bonds for the purposes of what we're talking about. My aim is 250 every 3 months, right? So that's $1 million per year. Okay, so you're looking at maybe about 82,000 per month. That's not bad. I would say reverse engineer that goal and then just go for it. Capital appreciation is not like 5 years ago. So at best, getting discounted dividend stocks is good. And you're talking to shells. How do I invest in REITs? So terrific. If you're in the Caribbean, you can sign up with Interactive Brokers. You can just do a Google search for like the best REITs for 2026, and you can start doing research on them. And then once you select one, purchase it through Interactive Brokers. We will be doing an investing in the US markets challenge later on this year. So, I mean, hopefully have it sorted out by then. But if not, you can join us for that challenge. All right. Music Guy says, dividends have allowed me to weather some market volatility. That's one of the reasons why I do it too. For Jamaica, yes, that's why I'm moving to dividends only, but cap gains in other markets is great. Okay, you guys are talking to each other and not me, so let me continue. All right. So first you want to set your dividend goal, and let me put that on screen here. So step 1, set your dividend goal. So you do that first, right? Set your dividend goal and then try to reverse engineer that goal. The next thing that you want to do, step 2 here, is to set a dividend stock screening process, right? This is very important because there are dividend investors who may be working with a company for dividends, and then the company stops paying dividend or no longer is able to pay dividends, and now they have this kind of scramble, or the company may choose to delist and now you have to find another source for dividends. So you have to find and create your own dividend screening process. Now, I'm not going to go into this in depth now. I'll cover it more in the dividend investment challenge, but here are some questions to ask, right? You want to understand the company first. So is this company set up for consistent dividend payments, right? And there's more to that, but again, I'll get to it on the challenge. Is this company set up for making dividend payments? What's the growth stage of this company? Does the company have, growth plans, or simply just trying to maintain maybe and pay down debt, right? So those are just 3 questions that you can ask. There's more again to start. There's a way to filter them. I'll give you the meat of that in the dividend challenge, of course. But the point is you want a dividend screening process. Now, I have a process. I've shared one of the steps on this platform before, where I say I look for companies that give me a 5% yield or higher. If it's not giving me a 5% yield, then it does not meet my requirement for a dividend. Now, that yield amount is based on the price. Now, if a stock is on my dividend watch list and the price goes down and the yield ultimately goes up, then it may re-enter my watch list and then I may take a position on it. Just like I saw a stock recently, I was very excited to see the price go down because the company pays a consistent dividend. And so now I have an opportunity to add that to my dividend portfolio. Once I can buy it at the price that I saw, then that now becomes another stock that has passed the 5% mark, and then I can add it to my portfolio in terms of dividend stocks, right? So you want to have a dividend screening process, you want to have a dividend watch list, and you want to create that watch list, right? So step 2 here is to create a dividend screening process. And I'll put these steps in the description so that persons can check that out. But you want to have a way which you screen for dividends. Now, for me here personally, since we're talking about dividends, I have to say this here because there's always this one person in the chat. What about Carreras? What about SVL? I've said it on our platform multiple times before. I'll say it again. For my personal spiritual and moral beliefs, I do not invest in Carreras or SVL. So I do not know the yield. I do not know the price. I do not understand those companies because of what those companies represent, right? So that's not an option for me. I invest as if it's God's money, right? According to the parable of the talents. So I ask myself the question, would God invest in this company, or would God want me to invest in this company for the money that he has blessed me with? And I always come back to the same answer for Carreras and SVL. Now, there are some Christians I know who will say, it's an investment, so it doesn't matter. They're focused on the profit or whatever they get from those, what they call sin stocks. To each his own. But for me and my house, SVL and Carreras are no-nos for us, and we've been doing just fine without them. All right, so I just had to say that because there's somebody who's going to either put it in the comments or say it in the chat at some point, which is fine, right? If that's what you guys invest in, invest according to your conviction, all right? And I will pretty much do the same, right? So you want to create that dividend screening process for yourself. Have that checklist, right? So write it down as a list of rules, right? I have that down as well. I've been writing investment rules from about 2019. It's great to have a rule book that you follow. So for example, I'll have, when am I going to buy a stock? What price am I taking profit? What price am I rebuying? What price am I selling if my thesis is wrong? And that list guides me in terms of how to manage my investments, right? So create your dividend screening process, and that will help you to know which stocks go on your watch list. And then when the time is right, if all the things line up for it, then you make that investment. All right, so that's the second step from my playbook. And then now the third step is pretty much easy, right? So I do some amount of, well, it's easy, but maybe not so easy for everybody, right? So step 3 is forecasting payout. Now I teach this in level 3, where I teach persons to forecast how much a company is expected to earn in terms of profits, and then based on their dividend policy to project what the payout is going to be. So the dividend policy, so when IPOs come out and you see them have their dividend policies, very, very, very important, right? So the dividend policy tells me how much the company plans to pay. So they'll either have a payout commitment or a dividend policy up to a certain point, and I use that in a forecast to tell me how much to expect. Just like I did with Trans Jamaica back in 2020, when it said in the prospectus that it's projecting to pay X amount to X amount in dividends over the first 5 years, and then X amount to X amount over the next certain number of years. So I projected that payout and I made my investments based off that, right? So I've been able to calculate with maybe like a 80% accuracy how much dividends I'll be able to get once the stock gets to certain prices, or once a yield gets to a certain amount, right? So that's what has given me the conviction you've seen me have for a stock like Trans-Jamaica or maybe other stocks that pay a dividend, because I'm doing that calculation beforehand, right? So for example, once a company makes it known, and this is a great reason, by the way, to go to an AGM. This is a great reason to participate in the investor briefings, to attend it, to speak to the CEOs, to shake their hands, to talk to the CFO and say, CFO, what's the dividend policy? What would it take for you to increase that dividend? What's your plan for paying out income for the future? You know, what are your plans for capital, etc., etc. So I use this forecasting, and I've done a similar forecasting for a company like Trans-Jamaica up until 2036, right? So I do a forecast, and I do an overall calculation to say if my number of units remain the same, how much in income I can expect to get if this dividend increases at a certain rate every year for the next 10 years, at least until the concession agreement comes to an end. All right. So you want to forecast your payout, do some calculation, and you want to have, let me do step 4 here, is to have a contingency, right? So this lesson came up for me with Dolphin Cove, right? So as of the start of 2025, Dolphin Cove was in my portfolio as a dividend paying stock. And February, we saw a notice in a group that their parent company is in trouble, and I've only gotten one dividend from Dolphin Cove since, right? And I sold my shares pretty much before that dividend was paid because it no longer seemed like it was a viable company for dividends. So once that news came out, I took the opportunity, because I was actually in profit, to sell at a certain price. I saw it go down. I rebought at a certain price, sold when it went up higher for the dividend. I had to take some capital gains to recover some of my losses. And then I did away with that stock, right? So you want to have a contingency when you forecast your dividends, when you forecast your payout. Have a plan B just in case the stock that you're hoping for does not pay what is being expected. And this goes even for the beloved Trans-Jamaica, right? They have not missed a dividend so far, but you have to expect and imagine that a company may have a very good reason not to pay a dividend. Now, in their case, they've said, you know, they keep a certain amount of cash. They do have cash to be able to make their usual, you know, distributions, etc. But you have to assume that since dividends are not guaranteed, you have to have a plan just in case a company says, hey, the environment says that we can't make this payout. We're keeping cash until things stabilize. So you have to have multiple ways to get to the same dividend target. All right, so hope that makes sense for you. And then finally, my final step really is, well, it's not my final step, but it's the one I'll share here because I want to keep this one short. All right. So step 5 is that I rebalance my portfolio, right? So I've been rebalancing my portfolio from about 2018 or 2019 thereabout. It's something that I practice annually now. All right. So I rebalance to ensure that I'm in the right stocks at the right time, right? So I'll typically rebalance sometimes midpoint the year, but usually around November, December is when I'm rebalancing, or at least the start of the year. But I typically rebalance in November, December, because if you notice, there are some stocks that have quite a bit of run up in January as it prepares for the February financials, right? So I was gonna say, if you see some stocks halt down or halt up in like November, December, it may be me, but I'm kidding. That's not true, right? I don't think I've ever halted down a stock before. I don't think so. Maybe. I can't remember. I don't typically do market orders, and so I'm not likely to halt down a stock. But hey, right? So you want to rebalance your portfolio at least once per year, right? You want to ensure that you're in the right stocks based on what your current goals are. And so this is my dividend investing playbook, those 5 steps. Let me recap them very quickly here. So step 1, I'm setting my dividend goal. So I want to earn X amount in dividends for the year. I break that down per month or per quarter or twice per year. Step 2, I'm creating a dividend screening process. So I have my rules that I follow to know which company is going to be on my dividend watch list. And then once the price is right, once the target is right, I'll add them to my dividend portfolio. Step 3, I'm doing calculations and forecasting a payout from that dividend stock or from my entire dividend portfolio. So I'm forecasting based on their dividend policy or what I would have projected they're able to pay based on said policy. Step 4, I'm having a contingency. So I typically will have at least 3 or 4 dividend stocks at any given time. And so I may have, like 2 on my watch list or 3 on my watch list. And just in case it may seem like the company is not going to be able to pay that dividend, I may switch out those stocks at some point to ensure that I still get my target payout. And then step 5, I'm rebalancing my portfolio at minimum once per year. And that rebalancing looks different in different seasons, but that's what I will typically do. And that kind of helps me to, get to the point where last year I made one of our dividend payouts was more than what I got in terms of a monthly salary, right? So that's why the title is there as well. It's not clickbait. I do get the dividend payouts that we receive now is more than what a monthly salary is for me when the payout comes. So that strategy has been working for us to build up that portfolio. All right, so that's the dividend playbook. Let me see what the comments are. I may miss a few here. Rosewell say it would be good if Trans Jamaica decided not to pay out dividend 1 quarter. It would certainly be good for sure. 10 million invested in a dividend stock can give one a return of 8% after tax per year, 800,000. That math not mathing, sir. 10 million, or you mean 10 million units? Oh, well, 10 million, 8%. Okay, I see what you're saying. The yield would have to be 8%. Okay. All right. I see Sister T says, Amen, Jermaine, would God want you or me to invest in this company? That's a question that I ask, right? True, Jermaine, when the stock goes down, the yield goes up once it's a consistent dividend payer. Exactly so. 40K in total in the US market in less than 6 months. That's more than the annual salary for most people. Okay, Shells, who's the one boasting now? Right? Who's the one boasting now? Right? I'm happy for you for sure. All right. I'm trying to see if I'm doing this right or missing any questions here. But Shells, he should know if the goal is realistic for him or not. What market giving 250K every 3 months? No, it's not the market giving the 250K. He said that was his goal. So he should know based on what he has invested, its starting capital, whether or not that is realistic for him or not. Right? So hope that helps. How do I buy shares in the junior stock market? I don't see it in my NCB capital. GPRS, I think you need to speak to somebody from NCB Capital Markets, because you should, if you're using the NCB Wealth Connect app, you should be able to place your orders. You should see both markets in the app. So I'm not familiar with the app myself because I use primarily JTrader, so I wouldn't be able to guide you through it. But I'm sure somebody in the community would be able to help you. So join our community, ask a question, and see if somebody can help you. All right. Are there any questions from that playbook that I shared just now? If not, I'm just going to do another call to action for the Dividend Investment Challenge. I just want to share it again that it is next week, Tuesday. Let me see how many persons have registered from we started the video. So 3 more persons have registered since we started the stream. So join our level 1 community or click in the link on our Instagram bio to join the Dividend Investment Challenge. You might have seen some videos with Demetrius in it promoting the challenge. Again, for those who might have missed it, Demetrius is working with LGI now, so he's helping us, promote things like the challenge and helping us to build awareness to our investment education. So you can register for our community at level 1 and you'll get access to signing up for the challenge, or sign up for the challenge directly and you'll be brought to the special dividend challenge group that's within the community. So this group is what we'll use for persons who are a part of the challenge, etc. So it's completely free to join. You don't have to pay anything to join this challenge. And it's for 3 days, 7 p.m. Based on the number of persons who have registered, we're likely going to stream it. So you want to still register, because if you plan to ask questions, we're going to take the Q&A within the community. All right. So just look out for that. And it's a week from now. All right. What's my thought process when rebalancing? So I did a video many years ago on this. I mean, I've kind of changed my strategy since, but my thoughts are really based on my goals, right? So I'm trying to optimize my portfolio to put myself in position to get to my dividend goal for that year, right? So for example, for last year, I think we got close to $1 million in dividends. And now for this year, I think we're going to be doing more than that. I haven't done the second half of the year calculation yet, because we actually rebalanced our portfolio again. So that's something that we will work out. But I typically don't say exactly how much I earn in dividends, because based on the number of stocks in my portfolio, then persons can have an estimation as to the size of my portfolio. And because, this is Jamaica, I don't do that. So yeah, hope that helps you. Any news read around the ransomware attack on JC? I knew about it before the email notice. I know company. So I haven't heard anything about it. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to speak to anyone from the JC about it. I will reach out to their IT manager and see if they can give us an idea as to the extent of the breach. I'm going to check the Data Protection Act as well, because I believe there's a way in which these things should be disclosed, especially since, the JSC houses our data. So let's see. I'll see what I can find out for you for sure. All right. All right, so I don't think there are any more questions. I'll ask you if you can give this video a like, share this video, share the challenge with somebody who could benefit from learning how to invest in dividends. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we use dividends because it's an easy way to get started. It gives persons a quick win. You're earning some cash back from your investment. And I think we all just feel good to get dividends, right? We see a check in the mail, we see our name on it. Just like right here, I actually have, well, this check is for Renee, but this is a check for, this one is for $38,000. One of our dividend checks. I won't show the name of the company, but this is the stub. If you know, you know. And so Renee would have, been able to use that cash to, I think we added it to our savings, and it's cash that we're able to use. So that $38,000 is a long way from when we used to get dividend checks for 45 cents or 20 cents or $10. So we've come a long way, and now, as I said, we get meaningful dividends from just a few years of investing, right? So we've been able to position our portfolio in such a way that we're able to get the kind of income we're looking for to supplement everything that we do. All right. So I hope to see you on the dividend challenge, and I'll see you for the next stream as well.
Does this sound like you? You bought into that IPO they told you was a good investment, and now you're down 20, 30, maybe even 40%. You try to buy the stocks they talk about in groups or on social media.
You've even taken a chance on the ones your advisor sends you via email.
But after 2 years, that IPO, that stock is still down.
There's a clear difference between investing and making a good investment decision. So if you're stuck, what you need to do is learn how to invest the right way.
In our L.E.A.R.N Level 2 program, we teach you how to build a $1 million investment portfolio. To make money investing, you need to know which stocks are right for your investment strategy, know when is the right time to buy and sell, and know how to build the right portfolio for your investment style. This program will help you invest meaningfully while making money. When you sign up, you'll get monthly guidance on how to invest and make money while doing it. You'll have a community of investors on the same journey as you to support you, and you'll have resources to help you stay on track. Join our 2026 cohort so you can get back on track with your financial goals.